Hi everyone, it's me again. You may have seen my previous video in which I reviewed this tiny little baby ukulele, the pathetique ukulele, as I described it. Now, that was of course just a little April Fool's little joke, but I thought I'd tell you a little bit about the story behind this instrument, well, if you can call it an instrument, because it's quite sort of humorous, I think. When I was researching for my dissertation, which was a presentation on the history of the ukulele, this is while I was at university, I wanted to sort of briefly discuss the rise of the popularity of the ukulele in recent years. And one of the points I was making was that it seems to be that the internet has been a great facility for people to sort of learn the ukulele and indeed buy instruments. And I was going to make a point about how affordable ukuleles were. You can pick up a decent one for about £20–30. And so I went on to Amazon to sort of browse through what all the different options were, and I came across a listing. Well, it wasn't for this, it was for this. This is the actual listing on Amazon, and as you can see, you get a fairly decent looking ukulele for only £2 or so. And of course, while it may not have been the best ukulele in the world, the picture is clearly much different to what actually materialised on my doorstep when the mailman came to call. I honestly don't know how they could get away with this, because obviously what they're advertising is a real instrument, and then what we've got here is plainly a toy. This kind of highlights a more general problem in that a lot of people will be buying ukuleles on Amazon and they will come to you not very well set up. They may have lots of rough edges, or the action may be too high, and that's just because that's how it comes out at the factory. And it's usually ukulele retailers, the specialists, who know how to set everything up just right. And so always make sure you shop from a specialist before you consider looking elsewhere, because otherwise you'll end up with things like this turning up on your doorstep. You may think you've got a good bargain, but actually you end up with something that's rather pathetique. Now, while I've got you here, I thought I might as well talk about some of my other tiny ukuleles. This is the popular i-uke. This was kindly given to me by an ex-pupil of mine at a ukulele festival. And these are quite old now. These have been out for a little while. And they're normally sort of considered to be tiny little ukuleles, though obviously compared to this, it looks huge. But the i-uke's great fun because it's a piccolo uke, because if you've not heard one of these before, then you won't know that this is tuned an octave above a typical G-C-E-A ukulele. As you can hear, very high pitched, and it's great fun. It's tiny, it's lightweight, and it's perfect for sort of putting in a backpack and taking with you on the go. And if you can get your hands on one of these, then I'd thoroughly recommend it as a little bit of fun. I don't think this is an instrument that you'd really get a lot of use out of, you know, sort of seriously, but it's good fun for the occasional sort of little strum on it. But I thought as well I'd show you one more tiny uke. We're going up a little bit bigger this time. This is still smaller than your typical soprano. This is sort of borderline sopranino, which is just a little bit smaller than a soprano, but still obviously bigger than the i-uke here. Now this is an instrument that I picked up on eBay for 20 quid. Now I know that goes against my own advice, but this was when I was maybe about 13, 14, maybe even younger, and I obviously wasn't as sort of clued up back then as I am now. And so I just saw this for 20 quid. I was looking for something just to, you know, sling in a backpack and take with me on trips and stuff, and I was expecting something a little rough around the edges, but actually this instrument is pretty well made. It is the Tom TUP 200, and again it's like a sopranino scale, so it's a bit bigger than the i-uke, so you've got a little bit more space on the frets, but it is nice and thin. A sopranino is normally about sort of there, and you know, thinner that way too, and shorter and everything, so it's a great little travel size, and it's really robustly built. It's well braced on the inside with proper bracing and everything, and you know, the wood's pretty decent. It came with some Aquila strings, pretty good tuners. They've not let me down, you know, probably jinxed that, but touch wood. I had this fitted with a pickup. As you can see, I couldn't get a normal ukulele pickup to fit, so what we've actually got is two banjo bugs that sort of stick onto the underneath of the instrument. And this is great. Again, you know, this instrument I normally play sort of at impromptu occasions, and sometimes you might just appreciate being able to plug in, sometimes you might not, you know, it's there if I need it. And it's a great little lovely instrument, and I put it in the backpack. You know, don't put it in a case or anything, because it'll take a few knocks. I mean, you can already see it's already quite dented, and in fact, you know, this is really sort of, this instrument's 10 years old now, and it's gone through a lot of sort of rough handling. So it's stood up really, really well. Really impressed with it. And I'm sure it'll go eventually at one stage or another, but it was 20 quid. You know, you can't complain. I have this uke tuned a little bit higher than this GCEA tuning. Sometimes I have it tuned to just one semitone or two or three semitones higher, just because I think that higher pitch works better with the body shape. The lower pitch, it tends to sound just a little bit dead, but the higher tunings really bring it to life. But yeah, there we go, 3 very different tiny ukuleles. If you like the idea of them, then why not grab yourself one? They're great for travelling, like I say, just put them in a backpack and take your uke anywhere with you in the world. Now, if you liked that video, then please feel free to subscribe and share it around. And of course, if you haven't yet seen my April Fool's little video talking about this uke in more detail, then click here to watch that now. I'll see you over there.